Hello, and welcome to today's episode. And today we're going to talk about how your identity is unknowingly keeping you stuck, holding you back, and how it might not actually be who you are. And if you do have parts of your identity that are holding you back, we'll go through how to shift those today. Your identity is single-handedly the most important attribute that will either accelerate you or hinder you. You can only go as far as your identity takes you. And basically what your identity is anything that starts with the word I am, I've always been this way, this is just who I am. AKA, that's all I can be and do from that identity. So for example, if you are someone who always finds a way, no matter when there is pain, no matter when you have a setback, and that is genuinely what you believe you are and who you believe you are, then in those moments when a pain happens or something goes wrong or you have a setback, you'll activate this identity, right? Hold on a minute, I'm someone who always finds a way. And then when you activate that identity, you will start looking for the positives, or you'll start looking for how you can turn this pain into power, or whatever that looks like. You'll start finding ways that you can actually get through this, and you'll find hope. And where there is hope, there is a way out of whatever the setback is. So when you hold that identity that I'm someone who always finds a way, you want to look at the three things that change. The three things that change when you have an identity is, one, your physiology. If when you have a setback, you are like, right, I'm going to find a way through it. I'm always someone who can find a way. That's just who I am. Your physiology will literally be up and out. Your head will be up. You'll be like, the adrenaline will be rushing through you. You'll be activated. You'll be ready to go. That physiology represents someone who is ready and available to take action. Versus, oh, this always happens to me. Oh, it's not going to work. Literally head down. Like, you expecting results and taking action from this literal physiology that represents someone who believes that they can't get through it, and this setback means that, it's not going to work for them. You won't get results, right? So number one is physiology. It is so important, so important. Then the second thing is the meaning you give the pain or the setback will determine how you take action or don't, therefore. So for example, if you have a setback and the meaning you give it is, that means I'm not good enough, that means I'm not smart enough, that means I'm not capable enough, then what do? You activate those limiting beliefs within you, which only creates thoughts of, I can't do it, what's the point, it's not going to work, which only activates feelings of doubt, frustration, low mood, and then when you're in those feelings, you won't take action. So when you look at a problem and you have a pain and you have a setback, the key thing is to change the meaning of it to something that is not about you. So if you hold that identity of I'm someone who always finds a way, this problem means this, this is the lesson, this is what's happened, this is how we're going to move through it. That doesn't mean anything about you as a personal limit, like the personal limitation on you. You've now changed the meaning, so you've changed the thoughts, and then you've therefore changed the feelings. And then the third part of it is to change the language you are using. So for example, if you start using language that is optimistic, that is going to get you through a problem, that is going to help you move through it, you bet the language changes your physiology as well, and it just loops back to this massive cycle of your physiology's changed, the meaning you give it's changed, and the language you use has changed. The only reason why people stay in a low mood is because the language they use on repeat is, it's ruined, it's not going to work, that's it, that's it now, like that's ruined. If you repeat that story, that's ruined, over and over and over and over again, and that's the language you use to yourself on repeat, that's ruined, I'm not someone who can get through this, you bet you won't be someone who can get through it, because the language you use on repeat becomes your story, and when you repeat that story long enough for you to believe it, and you start acting in accordance to that belief, and then that just becomes who you are. It doesn't work, I'm not someone who can get through it, I can't find a way, it won't work. So that's it. So I want you to imagine if every time something went wrong, every time you had a setback, you could activate that identity that I am always a person who finds a way, how much further would you go? How much ability and competence would you be able to collect within yourself and your skills and your ability to move forward through a problem? How much stronger would that get? And what I want to do today is I want to start looking at the identity that you're holding on to at the moment that is keeping you stuck. I'm going to give so many examples today, and we're going to change it into an identity that serves you better and that actually will allow you to move forward through every problem you face. If you can activate the one ideal dream identity that whenever you hit a problem, whenever you hit a setback, you will be able to activate this identity, then you'll be good for gold. Okay, So what is an identity that you're holding on to at the moment? So if I was to say to you, right, you always say like, I'm always someone who is, that's just who I am. I'm always stressed. I'm always busy. I'm always struggling. I'm always unorganised. That's just who I am, and it's become a flex of yours. It's not a flex. It's helped you so far in your life, but it's not helping you at the moment. So I want you to choose yours. Choose your identity. And what is a story that you keep putting on this identity? What is a story that you keep repeating to yourself, and this is just who you are now because you've kept repeating it to yourself over and over and over again? So for example, I'm always stressed, like everything's so stressful all the time, like, oh, this is too much, this is too much, this is too much. If you keep repeating that story, this is too much, this is too much, this is too much, therefore you feel overwhelmed. Now I'm just an overwhelmed person because you keep repeating that story to yourself. Once you've chosen your identity that you keep sitting in all the time, I want you to write down the consequences of having this identity. What are the consequences of having this identity? So if in the next 5 years you continue to have this identity over and over and over and over again, and every problem you faced, every level you faced, every setback you faced, this identity was the one that was trying to take you through the problem, what would you miss out on? And this is what we call leverage. We need to find enough leverage around holding this identity that's going to drive us to get out of it. So basically what I mean by that is that if the consequence of being unorganized all the time means that you won't be able to hold more success, or you won't be able to handle more, or you will always let people down because you're so unorganized, and this will mean that you can't achieve X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, like what will you not be able to achieve? What potential will you miss out on by holding on to this identity? Write that down, because that is a leverage that we're going to use today to enable you to shift the identity into something that's more helpful. Now, I want to look at, where did you pick up this identity from? I was speaking to a girl the other day, and she said to me, she was like, oh, I'm always really shy. Like, I've always been shy. I'm just a shy person. Everyone sort of describes me as a shy person. Like, I know I'm shy. It always goes around in my head. And I said to her, I said, I bet when you go out with your friends, you're the complete opposite. You have fun, you let yourself live. And she goes, yeah, I do. And I go, yeah, because that's the only time that you're allowed to express yourself, because shy is not actually who you are. You aren't shy. You just adopt this identity. So I said to her, when did you learn shy? Like, when did you learn that identity? When did you learn unorganized? When did you learn stress? When did you learn that you have to be really busy and prove your worth through business, whatever that is? And she goes, well, when I was at school, every time I'd speak up, someone would speak over me. So I just told myself that people won't listen to me and that people will always speak over me. So there would have been a time when that happened in her childhood, and that story, people won't listen to me, has now been repeated over and over and over again unconsciously, so that when it's repeated that many times, people don't listen to me, she automatically shuts up, doesn't say anything, is quiet. Then she starts to recognize that behavior and that pattern in herself, and therefore generalizes that everyone won't listen to her now, makes a generalization. That generalization becomes who she is, and other people start to notice it now that she's shy. She doesn't really talk a lot, so people tell her that she's shy. People tell her that you're really quiet. She now believes them as much as she believes herself, which only confirms that that's just now who she is, because she has taken one story from her childhood that people don't listen to her, people talk over her. She's made a generalization that now everyone won't listen to her and talk over her. She's now behaved in accordance to that story because she's repeated it unconsciously that many times that it's now become who she is. Other people have given her attention for it. Other people have given her recognition for it. Other people have told other people, oh, she's really shy, like, she doesn't mean to be shy. Other people have labelled her as shy. She's now become shy, and that identity is capping her from so many opportunities, being who she really is. How many opportunities would you be able to have if you knew you were someone who was excited, elated, your personality was out there, like you were confident? How many more opportunities would you get if you were that person? But because she has and holds on to this identity that she's shy, she now misses out on so many things, like speaking up in her business opportunities, speaking up, being like having fun, like everything, absolutely everything. And it's because it's so familiar to her. So for her to not be shy, and for her to go out of her way to speak up and, be excited and let her fun person out, that's unfamiliar to her, because she's literally repeated this story over and over and over again. It's become who she is now, and that's her identity now. So everyone has that. So like, where did you learn that? Where did you learn this identity that you had? Like, where did you get praise and attention for doing it? So for example, people who are overwhelmed and unorganized, like generally believe they can't handle it or whatever, and they start flexing that that's just who they are. I'm really overwhelmed, they gain validation for it. But it's like, you only picked up that identity maybe like when you were younger and you were in A-levels and you found it really overwhelming and you didn't ask for help, and then now you flex when you're overwhelmed that you're overwhelmed and you don't ask for help and you're repeating that story, and then you become an overwhelmed person and you tell yourself you're overwhelmed, and before you know it, you have a problem. Before you even try to handle the problem, you're already telling yourself it's too much. It's too much, it's too much, it's too much. And now you feel overwhelmed, and then you shut down and you run away. Because that's what you told yourself, and that's just who you are. And you flex it, you're like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. Everyone's gonna think I'm so busy and I'm so productive and this and that. And, or for example, people who sit in victim, like, oh, everything's so hard. Like, why does everyone else get this? Like, I'm always struggling. Like, it's always so hard for me. That is a victim. Where have you learned in your childhood that in order to gain love and attention, you have to struggle? Think about children, like, you have to gain love and attention. You have to gain love to survive. Like, you have to gain love, right? So if you didn't gain love for just being who you are and you didn't gain attention for just being who you are, you may have learned that, oh, hold on a minute, when I cry or I complain, people come and give me love, people come and give me attention. Oh, now we get love and attention. It's not the struggle that's the problem. It's the fact that you gain love and attention for struggling, and love and attention is what you want, and therefore you have picked up this victim identity, and you don't know who you are without victim identity. Because if we get rid of victim identity and we get rid of the struggle, and actually things start to be easy for you, and you start to be like, actually, do you know what? Like, this doesn't have to be hard. Like, this could be easy if I want to. I don't have to sit in the struggle. I don't have to sit in this pain. I don't have to suffer. But because I gain love and attention for it, I can't let go of that. Because if I let go of that, where am I going to gain love and attention? Because I bet if you stopped getting love and attention for struggling, you'd stop struggling. Because you don't want the struggle, you want the love and attention. So if all of a sudden you started getting attention for, I don't know, achieving or doing well or making progress or talking about something that's more exciting, and you started gaining a lot of love and attention for that, you'd let go of the struggle, right? But you don't know an alternative because you've only ever sat in victim for however long. What you've got to look at is the identity that you're sitting in, like, whatever that is. You've got to look at what is it that you're gaining that's keeping you stuck in that identity. So for example, like, if you're stuck in victim and you're gaining love and attention, right, how can you challenge yourself to gain love and attention in other ways? How can you start noticing that you actually do gain love and attention when you're not struggling and when other things happen? Because at the moment, your subconscious mind only sees that you gain love and attention when you struggle. But it won't let you see any other ways, because if you start seeing other ways that you gain love and attention, then that means you have to let go of victim. And your subconscious mind doesn't want to do that because there's so much attached to it. So what about if you started to decide that the identity that I want to build is that when a problem happens or a setback happens, I'm someone who always finds a way? What about if instead of flexing the struggle to people and instead of vocalizing that struggle and telling yourself that, what about if you decided that, right, no, do you know what, I'm someone who always finds a way, and this is how I'm going to find a way. And then when you found a way and you've made it work and you've got to that problem and you've got the solution to it, you then go and tell people that, and you then go and sit in that pride, and you sit in that accomplishment, and you sit in that achievement of, like, I've just found a way from the hardest thing that's just happened to me, or that big setback that's just happened to me, I found a way. And then you go and tell people, what are they going to give you? Attention. What is attention? Attention is love. Right? Attention literally equals love. When I get attention, I'm loved. Okay? So there you go. You've now created evidence that you can gain attention and love for things that move you forward. Does that make sense? So whatever identity that you want to change from, so someone from who's unorganized to organized, how can you, instead of gaining validation for your long to-do list and the fact that you leave everything till last minute and look how unorganized I am but successful I am, and that gains me loads of attention and it makes me feel like good and it gives me an ego boost, but actually at one point that's really going to be so unhelpful for me because I won't be able to handle it all. How can you start being the person who's so organized, so on top of things, and then you have that much free time to chill that you can start flexing that? Because when you change an identity, you want to create positive associations with a new identity in order for your subconscious to feel pulled towards pulled towards this new identity and actually wanting it. Because at the moment, if you gain so much from the old identity, why would your subconscious want you to be organized? If you gain validation and you feel a level of and a sense of success and accomplishment and validation and reassurance and attention for being unorganized and last minute, why would your subconscious mind want you to be organised, right? So, or if you gain attention and love for victim, why would your subconscious mind want you to be the person who always finds a way? Because if we always find a way, that means no one will help us anymore. And that means we don't get any love and attention, right? Do you see where I'm going? So whatever is the most unhelpful identity you're sitting in, like, I'm shy, I'm boring, I'm this, I'm that, like, whatever you tell yourself, and this is just who I, no, it's not who you are. You are not born like that. You've simply had an event like the shy one. You have an event, there's a story that you've decided, you repeat that story over and over and over and over again until you start behaving that way. And when you behave that way, you believe that that's who you are. Everyone else notices it, they give you attention for it, they believe that that's who you are, and that's just not who you are. It's not who you are, and it's actually holding you back. So think about the new identity that you want, and how can you start gaining attention and love and validation and this sense of like accomplishment and achievement, and like, actually, I'm going to flex being organised. I'm going to flex being the person who finds a way. I'm going to flex being the person who expresses themselves and shows a personality. I'm going to express that, and I'm going to flex it. I'm going to gain validation, and I'm going to start moving towards identity. Now, the second thing that I want you to think about when you're changing identity is that you need to find a new story to start looking out for. So, for example, that girl who was always shy and always said like, no one ever listens to me. And I said, well, when was the last time that you did speak out on your own and decided that people might listen to you? Oh, I haven't done that. Try it. Decide that people will listen to me and I have enough interesting things to share. So you decide your new story, right? And then you test that story. Test a new story, because the old story is that no one listens to me. You should repeat that over and over and over again. Just like I said, I'm not saying it again. So her new story could be like, right, people do listen to me and what I have to say is interesting. Okay, let's test it out. So I'm going to go and speak to people on the next social occasion or whatever that is, and I'm going to allow them to talk back to me. And I'm going to note that, like, oh, they did just talk to me. Oh, they didn't just talk over me. La da da da. Like, take your new story and allow yourself to start seeing evidence of the new story, because your subconscious mind, the part of your brain, the reticular activating system, will look for evidence for what you believe. You will always find what you are looking for. If you believe that people don't listen to you, that is all you will see and that is all you will experience. And you probably sabotage yourself by talking to people at the wrong time to prove that they don't listen to you. You probably go to something like, I don't know, I always say it when partners speak up over dinner and they're like, oh, you don't, like, they'll be at dinner and a nice day and they'll be like, oh, do you know what, I actually just want to tell you this really annoyed me the other day. And the partner then gets their back up at dinner because they're like, why are you bringing this up now? And then the girl will go, see, you don't listen to me. No, it's not that they don't listen to you. You just sabotage yourself by bringing it up at the wrong time when you know they're not going to listen to you to prove a point. Because that's just who you are. People don't listen to you. So really, like, again, you've got to make sure you don't sabotage yourself. But start challenging a new story. Hold a new story. Write your new story down for a week. Your new belief, your new story, your new thought process, whatever you want that to be. Write it down and start challenging it. Start looking for evidence for it. I'm a person who always finds a way. Write it down. Okay, setback comes in. Immediately response is, oh, this isn't working. This means that I'm not good enough. Right, I'm always someone who finds a way. Hold on a minute. That actually might work. Now I can start to see that opportunity. Actually, I could do that now. Actually, yeah, that didn't work, but this might work instead. I'm someone who finds a way. I'm someone who, I'm going to go and read about this now. I'm going to go learn about this. I'm going to sit at my computer for the next 2 hours. I'm going to go learn about how I can get through this. You are someone who always finds a way. So that's how you're going to act, right? It's totally different. Another thing you can do to strengthen your new identity is when you start repeating this new story to yourself is activate your physiology with it. So again, like I said at the start, when a setback comes in and doesn't go well and whatever, and your automatic physiology is like, oh, it's not going to work. Like, it's not going well for me. I'm not good enough. Why me? Why me? Like, your voice is lower, your physiology is down, you speak slower, it's not going to work. Like, you become quieter. What do you expect? Why? Well, of course it's not going to work when you're sitting like that, right? So I want you to pick, I've been doing this recently, pick a pose, pick power pose, or make a noise or slam your table and get up and right. I'm someone who always finds a way. Okay, boom, this is what I'm going to do. How much different, if you could change your physiology physically, when a setback comes in, instead of saying, no, I'm not good enough, and you can literally have one thing that will activate your entire body, because it's not just about the mind, it's about the body as well. That is so important. Mindset is not just about the mind, it's about the body. If you can activate that physiology in that moment, you change your state. You physically change the chemicals in your body, you change your state, you elicit more adrenaline, like this rush, this like boost, this energy, okay? Now, when you're in that energy, your thoughts are going to change because the emotion in your body's changed, okay? So that's first thing, choose your thing. Every time a setback comes in, I'm going to get up off my chair and I'm going to move. Or every time a setback comes in, I'm going to, right, boom, I'm someone who always finds a way, or whatever that is, okay? And then in that moment is then you're going to decide on the new story. So for example, if the old story of the victim is, oh, there's not a way through this, like it won't work. But now you've activated this physiology. I am someone who always finds a way. That's the identity that I want. And I'm going to find a way to make it work. Okay, then you start looking for ways to make it work. So now your action step through the setback is to find a way to make it work. And you'll just know what to do. Like you just will. You'll intuitively think, oh, I need to research that. Oh, I might just call my friend, actually, she's in business, she's doing this, da, da, da. She might know the answer. Or I might just go and spend an hour watching a podcast on this, da, da, da. Anything just to move you through it. The more that you can repeat this cycle of what I've spoken about today, so you activate the physiology, you decide this is who you are, you find a new story, and you watch your language, and you repeat this over and over again. You start looking for evidence, you start taking action, you repeat over and over again, you'll start believing that this is who you are. It takes a lot of fucking work. Like, it is hard. Don't expect it to be easy because your brain is wired that way. But the more you can do it, and this is my tips from a practical standpoint, obviously the work that I do is very subconscious. We can just activate your new identity in a matter of minutes. But do it, try it over and over again. You will start to elicit this new identity. You'll start to behave like this. You'll start to show like this, and you'll see results, and you'll see things happen differently. You have to get rid of that old story. You are not 7 years old anymore. You're not 12 years old anymore. You're not 14 years old anymore when they said that at school, and now you've just decided that's who you are. Or, you had to struggle when you're younger to get love. You're not that person anymore. So decide, this is who I want to be, and challenge it every single day. Have that as your main focus. You focus on your work, you focus on working out, focus on this as much as you do that, and you will find a way, and you will make it through, and it will become who you are every single time. Do it every single time. Okay, so drop any questions you have below, and I will see you in the next video.